green. We're good. We're good. Alright, hopefully we can just finish this up today. From my understanding, it doesn't seem like there's really that much left. Like, nothing really difficult is in this chapter by any means. It's pretty simple to what we've done before. But there is one thing I do need to take a look at first. Hello. Alright, I need to get rid of that. Here come the ding-ding-dings. There we go. Ow. Okay. So, from what let me look this up real quick. I need to figure out what is the setting. 20. Is this one? Yes. Alright, let me see the setting, because I need to figure out what's actually in the setting. Just to avoid the darkness and it was abnormally cold. Freezing or chilling. Okay, it says it's just cold. It doesn't actually say why it's cold. Well, I know why it's cold, but it's not like very indicative. Is that an actual word? Indicative. Is that actually a word?
Here's the definition of indicative: serving as a sign or indication of something.
Okay. My vocabulary is good. Yay! Anyways, it's not very indicative of what is actually going on. Like why she's cold. I know exactly why. But it doesn't indicate like there's a snowstorm or anything. So, I don't know. We'll see. Okay, first things first. I think I know exactly what I need. We need the breeze again, which is an audio clip. We're going to put that on the second. Maybe, if it'll let me. Also, guys, I have gone like 3 minutes, gosh darn it, 3 minutes in without saying a swear word. Which is not very common for me. Like, if I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna say something. I don't give a crap. Alright, let's see. Keep in mind, I'm not even trying not to swear. Alright, let's see. We need... Scary... No. Alright, anyways. We need to put that on the second thing once it decodes. There it goes. Decode that. No. Thank you. Alright, go to the second. We need to do something like that. Maybe, if it'll let me. Alright. Then we have to make a cut. And to do that, I need to zoom out. We're going to need a music track here as well. Oh, wait. No.
2 weeks had passed.
We don't need that yet. We don't need that yet. Whoopsie, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. What goes here? That's a really good question. What does go here? Like a upbeat track. Like a very, nice track. But I don't know what I have that's really good like that. I do scary crap, okay? I don't do the nice crap. I don't do the happy-go-lucky stuff. I do the dark and grim and not happy stuff. That's kind of funny. Like, that's actually freaking funny. Like, I don't need a dark track. I need a good track. Oh, that's fucking funny. Hey, there's the first thing. Yay. Do I even have anything like that? I don't think I do. I really don't think I do. The only thing I can think of that's similar to that is momentum. or memento. Memento. That's the word I was looking for. Like, that's the only thing I can think of that's even close to something like that. Either that or keep going. But I already used those in the previous, and this is going to be playing in real time, so I don't want to repeat if I can help it. So let's just keep kind of looking, see if there's anything else that's happy that I haven't been seeing. Wait, there is one, Daydream. That is under my downloads, I think. Yes. Because the first place I ever used that was Savior. That I do remember. Daydream. Let me just go Mew. Mew, Daydream. There it is. Okay, we didn't have to do too much. I need to... Okay, I'm all the way back. Good. Okay, I remember this one was a little tricky. So yeah, we just definitely need to lower that. We're probably going to need not a limiter, a balancer. Because if you don't know what a balancer is, it's basically another volume lever.
2 weeks had passed in a flash, and in that...
Hang on.
Two weeks had passed in a flash, and in that time of training with Virjora, Ganyu had become much stronger and wiser about her new self. Her spiritual connection to the Qilin god that had granted her her new strength and abilities had grown much stronger, and now she could perform adeptal arts that would aid both herself and Keqing on the battlefield. However, they were still exhilarating to her body's energy, so she could only use these arts sparingly. However, they were still exhilarating to her body's energy, so she could only use these arts sparingly.
That's too choppy. That's too choppy. So let's fix that real quick.
They were still exhilarating to her body's energy, so she...
Right there. I need to pull that back. Why can't you just behave?
They were still exhilarating to her body's energy, so she could only use these arts sparingly. They were still exhilarating to her body's energy, so she could only use these arts sparingly.
There we go.
Ganyu had had no problem with that, seeing she was more comfortable using her bow over godly magic, but still took the proper training to use her new skills effectively. They would surely come in handy when the time came to confront and end the Tsaritsa once and for all, but that day was yet to come, and they're saying she was more comfortable using her bow over godly magic, but still took the proper training to use her new skills effectively. They would surely come in handy when the time came to confront and end the Tsaritsa once and for all, but that day was yet to come, and their side of the battlefield currently had the advantage. Therefore, she didn't have to think about the day of Teyvat's fate for a while, and could take a moment to breathe and spend precious time with her beloved. Over the 2 weeks away from Keqing, Ganyu had longed to see and feel her beloved's day of Teyvat's fate for a while, and could take a moment to breathe and spend precious time with her beloved. Over the 2 weeks away from Keqing, Ganyu...
Right there. Something in there that I don't like. If I remember correct, there's a problem right here where the breath gets caught.
Day of Teyvat.
Let me just see if I can get that out.
Ganyu had...
Yeah, I don't think I can get that out.
Weeks away from Keqing, Ganyu had longed to see and feel her beloved's arms around her, but her mother had managed to comfort her in her grief. The two had shared many great stories in their time back together as mother and daughter, having even taken the hike up Mount Hulao to rekindle old memories from a time long past. Ganyu still had a hard time believing that she'd somehow found her mother after thousands of years, feeling as if their reunion had been poetically foretold by whomever paved the paths of fate and destiny. But the truth was that she had found and would never abandon her again. That was a promise, up until the day her ancient heart stopped beating and she had fulfilled the contract she'd made with Morax all those centuries ago. However, while Bajora was a caring and gentle mother, she was much stern and strict. While Bajora was a caring and gentle mother, she was much stern and strict as a mentor. However, it was because of that reason that Ganyu had achieved so much in little time, and that was something she could only thank her mother for. However, there was one thing she had requested her mother to do, seeing one of the features of her—
Okay, there's something that I don't like here. However, it's said 3 times in a goddamn row. If I can just take one of these out, it would be a much better, like, grammatical thing. Because I don't like that. Okay, let's just kind of do something like this.
While Bajora was a caring and gentle mother, she was much stern and strict as a mentor. It was because of that reason that Ganyu had achieved so much in little time, and that was something she could only thank her mother for. However, there was one thing she had requested her mother to do, seeing one of the features of her new form had become nothing more than a nuisance. That request had been to shorten the length of her horns, even if it would likely be an unpleasant process. The weight of her new appendages had made her balance waver like a stone sinking in a body of water, and that was nothing but a weakness to her in her eyes, so she had decided to bear the discomfort to assure her battle etiquette unhindered. Despite Bajora warning her that filing her horns back to their original length would be the equivalent of antagonizing every nerve in her body, she still went through with it. As expected, Ganyu had squirmed and squealed during the entire procedure, the filing tool feeling like her body was being consistently struck by lightning. However, she'd powered through the grueling 2 hours, and as a way to calm her frenzied nerves, had soaked herself in a nearby spring. The coolness of the water had acted as a soothing agent instantaneously upon descending her entire bare body beneath the surface. She hadn't known how long she had been with an agent instantaneously upon descending her entire bare body beneath the surface.
That'll work.
She hadn't known how long she had been within only the tranquil calm of the spring's body, only knew that when she had arisen back to reality, all of her nerves were calmed and docile.
That seems a little too choppy, so I'm gonna bring that back a little bit. Man, you can tell I was rusty.
Only knew that when she had arisen back to reality, all of her nerves were calmed and docile.
Much better.
A huge relief that had washed over her like a wave, having spent the rest of her private time in the cool water, reminiscing.
Hello? There we go. Let me listen to that one.
A huge relief that had washed over her like a wave, having spent the rest of her private time in the cool water, reminiscing about the past and Kuching. Outside of training, Ganyu had fancied herself with new recipes her mother had shared with her, all of them being Qilin-based and Kuching. Outside of training, Ganyu had fancied—
Nope, that needs to come back a little bit more. If only I could just do this naturally, it would be wonderful. But
past and Kuching. Outside of training,
there
Ganyu had fancied herself with new recipes her mother had shared with her, all of them being Qilin-based dishes that she had never recalled trying in her past. It was likely due to her childish sweet tooth that she'd never given much healthier dishes.
Okay, that has to come back as well. Oh, so many cuts. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
She had never recalled trying in her past. It was likely due to her childish sweet tooth that she'd never given much healthier dishes a try. At the moment she had tasted the delicacies, she'd giggled at her recollection of the times as a child when—
Okay, now that's way too close. What was I thinking? Man, I really need to— Oh, shit. Let's try that again. And not cut the bottom one. Oh, I know. I'm stupid. It's okay. It's fine. Okay, let's push that out. Maybe a little bit more than that. Let's see about right there.
To try. At the moment she had tasted the delicacies,
That'll work.
she'd giggled at her recollection of the times as a child when she'd refused to try anything without sweetness in its mixture of ingredients. Her mother had giggled along with her as well.
Nope, too much. Why did I leave so many goddamn so much spacing between these? It's like I've said a million times. Nothing is set in stone until the final product.
Without sweetness in its mixture of ingredients. Her mother had giggled along with her as well, finding the entire scenario nostalgic and cute. She'd seen and lived all those times all those centuries prior, and seeing her daughter realize now that she had only been doing what was best for her back then was a moment of accomplishment for her in the present. While Ganyu still had no interest in taking the role as a mother, nor could she produce one with Kuching as her partner, hearing stories about herself from her mother that she couldn't possibly remember as a toddler had given her consideration.
It's fine.
However, that was in the air for now, seeing the fact that Tevat was at war with the Tsaritsa was much more critical than anything else. Therefore, Ganyu had put her mind furthermore on her training, up until something else had occurred to make her act otherwise.
Okay. This can have a space. If I can get into the middle. Yep. Alright, push that out a little bit.
Furthermore on her training, up until something else had occurred to make her act otherwise. Furthermore on her training, up until something else had occurred to make her act otherwise. Much like what had happened to Mona prior to Mondstadt's siege against the Tsaritsa's pawns had happened to Ganyu, just not as serious or traumatizing. Furthermore on her training, up until something else had occurred to make her act otherwise. Much like what had happened to Mona prior to Mondstadt's siege against the Tsaritsa's pawns had happened to Ganyu, just not as serious or traumatizing.
Just not as serious can go out a little bit more than that. I think that the had right here can also be pushed out a little bit more than that. Something like maybe this.
Siege against the Tsaritsa's pawns had happened to Ganyu, just not as serious or traumatizing. It had come from out of nowhere around the 13th night since her Tsaritsa's pawns had happened to Ganyu, just not as serious or traumatizing.
Perfect.
It had come from out of nowhere around the 13th night since her decision to remain in the Peaks of Serenity to train with her mother, and upon waking from it, Ganyu had known full well that the phenomenon she'd experienced wasn't something to ignore.
Okay. Now we've got a pause, so let's go automate, maybe. Volume. Just kind of toy with it a little bit. Something like... Let's just kind of go something like that.
Tsaritsa's pawns had happened to Ganyu, that the phenomenon she'd experienced wasn't something to ignore. Two weeks after Kuching's
Okay, let's see. That's got to go out quite a bit. Push that out.
that the phenomenon she'd experienced wasn't
Way
something
more than
to
that.
ignore.
I need to, let's see, shut this up. You piece of garbage, please. Oops. Bam, bam, bam.
that the phenomenon she'd experienced wasn't something to ignore.
Almost feels too short. Let me push this out a little bit more. Push that up.
That the phenomenon she'd experienced wasn't something to ignore.
That's better.
2 weeks after Kuching's departure,
There we go.
Ganyu stood in a
Perfect. Alright, now we gotta have a fade in effect. So, push this out. I think you should just shut up and let me do what I want to do. How about that, buddy?
weeks after Kuching's departure.
You don't control my life, I control it. So this is what I want to do, so shut the fuck up.
Weeks after Kuching's departure.
Alright, now I need scary, eerie winds. Okay. We need to zoom out. We need to get more into here. Need to cut this. Cut this. Grab. Grab.
Weeks after Kuching's departure.
Alright, let's see what we got here. Nope, that needs a little bit of a fade in. Because it cuts right in. Can I push back a little bit? No. So that does need a fade in. Make unique as a sample. Oh wait, no. That's not what I need. I need volume. Perfect. So unless you have anything productive to say about the stream, get out of here. I don't care about little trolls like you. Okay, that's definitely gonna have to go forward about right there.
Weeks after Kuching's departure.
Perfect. A little too noisy though. Number 2.
Weeks after Kuching's departure.
Still a little too noisy. Perfect. All right. Let's see about right there.
Weeks after Kuching's departure. Ganyu stood in a void of darkness with nothing but a mist cloaking the surface. Ganyu stood in a void of darkness with nothing but a mist cloaking the surface she currently stood upon. At first, she had no idea what to think, having only seen something as such when she took the trial to increase her strength as a half Qilin. The current scenario grew even more mysterious upon her seeing no way out, along with the realization that it was abnormally to increase her strength as a half Qilin.
Okay, that needs to go out more. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, push that out.
To increase her strength as a half Qilin. The current scenario grew even more mysterious upon her seeing no way out, along with the realization that it was abnormally cold in her current environment. However, she wasn't shivering or even felt chilly in the slightest, which made her even more curious and somewhat afraid. This phenomenon was unlike anything she'd experienced in her long life, and upon collecting her emotions and thoughts on her current predicament, she knew exactly why everything about this seemed paranormal. This phenomenon was unlike anything she'd experienced in her long life, and upon collecting her emotions...
Too quick. Alright, I need to... I might be able to get that.
This phenomenon was unlike anything she'd experienced in her long life, and upon collecting her emotions...
Too much. Alright, let's go something like this.
This phenomenon was unlike anything she'd experienced in her long life, and upon collecting her...
There we go, much better. Alright, let's get back to the spot. There we go.
This phenomenon was unlike anything she'd experienced in her long life, and upon collecting her emotions and thoughts on her current predicament, she knew exactly why everything about this seemed paranormal. She was dreaming. How she knew she was, she couldn't perceive, but she couldn't decipher any other. How she knew she was, she couldn't perceive, but she knew she was, she couldn't perceive.
Trying to decide whether a music track could go here or not.
How she knew she was, she couldn't perceive, but she couldn't decipher any other explanation. Another factor that she realized was that this dream wasn't something like a regular one, but was something more unique.
Hang on, let me see if I can fix this.
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation.
Any other explanation. That's choppy as shit. Come on, me. You can do better than this. Okay. So is it the far setting? Okay, the far setting is what cuts it down into like little brackets. Alright, let's see what we got here.
Couldn't perceive, but she couldn't decipher any other. Couldn't perceive, but she couldn't decipher any other explanation. Couldn't perceive, but she couldn't decipher any other explanation.
Let me try explanation back a little bit.
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation.
That's a little better.
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation.
I'm gonna try bringing other back a little bit more.
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation.
Nope, too fast. Okay. Okay, so...
But she couldn't decipher any other.
Any other... Okay, so now what I need to do is zoom in a little bit more.
But she couldn't decipher any other.
Let's bring this back some more.
But she couldn't decipher any other.
Nope, too fast. Why do you have to be such a little motherfucker? Seriously, why?
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation.
Let's just bring explanation back and call it good.
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation.
Nope, too fast. So I gotta zoom in a little bit more than that. Why can't you just behave like a good program? Of course not.
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation. But she couldn't decipher any other explanation.
That's better. That's much better. Okay. I think this also needs to come back just a little bit more.
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation. Another factor that she...
Okay, that's perfect. Okay. Let's try this.
But she couldn't decipher any other explanation. Another factor that she realized was that this dream wasn't something alike a regular one, but was something more unique. But she couldn't decipher any other explanation. Another factor that she realized was that this dream wasn't something alike a regular one, but was something more unique.
There we go.
The fact that she was fully aware that she was asleep reminded her of when she had been in that trance for over a month. She'd known the entire time that she was unconscious in reality and had gone through a whole journey of discovering more about herself, her past, and things she'd have to do in reality to become even stronger to stand against her enemies. An epiphany of self-discovery and trials that tested all of her strengths. This felt the exact same, but she knew it wasn't. However, but she couldn't decipher any others her enemies. An epiphany of self-discovery and trials that tested all of her strengths.
There we go.
This felt the exact same, but she knew it wasn't. However, what she could tell was that it was something of importance.
Okay. I think I'm going to go something like... Okay, where is that part?
As a half-Chilan. The current scenario grew even more mysterious upon her seeing no way out, along with the realization that it was abnormally cold in her current environment. However, she wasn't shivering or even felt chilly in the slightest, which made her even more curious, and she was dreaming.
Okay, I think something can go here. Yeah, that kind of fits here because it's cold. Like wintry almost. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Carol the Bells. Da, 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 da. I think that's under the USB drive. Yep. Carol of the Bells. There it is. That should work. Now I just need to adjust the volume.
How she knew she was, she couldn't perceive.
A little further back than that.
How she knew she was, she couldn't perceive, but she couldn't decipher any normal. She was dreaming. How she knew she was, she couldn't perceive, but she couldn't decipher any other explanation. Another factor that she realized was that this dream wasn't something alike a regular one, but was something more unique. The fact that she was fully aware that she was asleep reminded her of when she had been in that trance for over a month. She'd known the entire time that she was unconscious in reality and had gone through a whole journey of discovering more about herself, her past, and things she'd have to do in reality to become even stronger to stand against her enemies. An epiphany of self-discovery and trials that tested all of her strengths. This felt the exact same, but she knew it wasn't. However, what she could tell was that it was something of importance, and upon looking out from her, she saw something that she knew was critical to whatever she was exploring. After focusing more clearly on the figure, she knew exactly what she'd found, remembering the imagery of her form in Rezhov's recorded memories. Just 30 yards out from her was the monster known as the Tsaritsa. She could feel her rage.
I think that this should start here. Okay, grab, cut, paste. I don't take reading requests right now, no.
Monster known as the Tsaritsa. She could feel her rage and chaotic flurry of emotions bursting to the surface of her soul upon the sudden realization of her and all of Tevet's enemy being straight out from her. However, upon a second glance, Ganyu froze in conflict, feeling as if the figure in the distance wasn't the same person as the cold-blooded goddess she knew of in reality. She seemed different and carried a different atmosphere to her person. There was no doubt that it was the Cryo Archon, but this version of said goddess seemed different in both stature and appearance. The Tsaritsa beyond the realm of her dreams appeared strong, independent, and intelligent. This mimic gave a sense of frailty and sorrow. Ganyu glanced at the doppelganger again, and upon a more proper examination, she noticed something abnormal. She was much younger than the Cryo Goddess and bare naked with nothing but her long snow-white hair covering her privates. She was also in a fetal position and cowering from some unknown force, to which Ganyu knew was enough proof that whoever was sharing this space with her couldn't. Fetal position and cowering from—
Hang on, can I get that out? Let me see something. Yeah, Nuke, I don't take reading requests right now. I've got way too much on my plate. Way too much. It's just not gonna happen. That might be enough. Oh, let me see if I can get that out. Of course not. You just can't behave. Shit. All right, let's see. We need something like that.
And cowering.
Okay, so now we need to push this out. Push that out as well.
And cowering from some unknown force, to which Ganyu knew was enough proof that whoever was sharing this space with her couldn't be the same position, and cowering from some unknown force, to which Ganyu knew was enough proof that whoever was sharing this space with her couldn't be the same Tsaritsa she called her greatest enemy. Bring her privates. She was also in a fetal position and cowering from some unknown force, to which Ganyu knew was enough proof that whoever was sharing this space with her couldn't be the same Tsaritsa she called her greatest enemy. However, that conclusion raised more questions than answers, and upon realizing that the cowering girl wasn't who she'd originally thought, a sound broke the cold and dense silence. Do not worry. I mean no harm and will answer all of your questions willingly. Her voice was a shallow whisper full of fear and truth. With her newly enhanced senses, Ganyu could tell full well that this young Tsaritsa copy wasn't trying to trick or lie to her, but she kept her guard up regardless. Young Tsaritsa copy wasn't trying to trick or lie to her, but she kept her guard up regardless. Who are you, and why have you invaded my dreams? She questioned with clear authority that she wasn't some naive peasant she could easily fool. The young mimic shifted slightly, signaling to Ganyu that her company had caught her message loud and clear. She spoke up again, addressing Ganyu's curiosity respectfully. The answer to your first question has already been answered. The girl answered, turning slowly to meet Ganyu face to face. Upon seeing her unannounced guest's face clearly, Ganyu felt her heart skip a beat. Down from her usually blue eyes, now clouded by a film of gray, were dried trails of tears. Her skin was cracked as if it were made of fragile glass, and where said glass had chipped away from her body were holes that radiated a fading light. She looked weak, and as if some unknown force were deteriorating her form into—
Okay, this is gonna be interesting. That's alright, your ideas are I was wondering if I can get your pants something I wrote by chance, or are you not into that kind of stuff? Also, hello, Finn. It's kind of both. Right now, this is something that I've written, but yeah, I have reviewed stuff before, but it's really not my thing, personally. Like, I've reviewed stuff before, but if I won't lie, I'm like the Gordon Ramsay kind of reviewer. If I say something that isn't right, I'm going to let you know straight up. Okay, anyways. Oh god, what goes here? Something sad. Hey, Solar, by the way. Okay, let's see. What are we going for here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I really do not want to do a repeat. The shelter work here. Dun 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 dun. Kind of. I don't know. We could try and just see what happens. Might be a good idea. Do you know how to remove noise in audio? Well, there's 2 ways to do that. But it all depends on your background noise and how loud your audio is. In the background, I mean. There's 2 ways you can do it. You could either add a noise gate, which is a little risky, or you can noise reduct. I do noise gate because I like clean audio. Like, I don't like to have any background audio whatsoever if I can help it. Okay, like, what's your recording environment? How loud is your, like, echo, your reverberations? Like, do you have reverb anywhere in your room, or is it noise treated? Like, that's things you always gotta take into account when it comes to that shit. Alright, what am I looking for? Shelter. Okay, let's go something like that. Okay, now I gotta go turn that down. Yep. Turn that down quite a bit. Rebalance. Turn that down.
8. She looked weak, and as if some unknown force were deteriorating her form entirely. Less to say, Ganyu was horrified and saddened at the sight before her.
Okay, now it's gotta get louder.
The girl didn't flinch, only continued to answer Ganyu's growing curiosity. It's true. Your assumption of my identity is correct. However, I must also add that you are only half right. Seeing, while I am the Tsaritsa, I am only a mere fragment of the version you are familiar with.
Whoa.
Ganyu could hardly speak, her emotions flooding her senses like a tsunami wave. Morax above. What has happened to you?
That fits.
The supposed Tsaritsa answered with merely a shift of her gaze to the fog-layered floor, following with an answer that sent chills down every nerve of Ganyu's body. Too much for me to even remember. Ganyu was sold, the entire situation getting all the more strange second by second, and she wanted to figure out exactly why this had come to be in the first place. Before I explain why I am here, allow me to apologize. I would never wish to intrude anyone's psyche without consent, but I had no other choice. Allow me to explain, seeing you must be confused. I was given one opportunity that would likely never come again, so I had to take it to speak with you.
This is going to continue.
To keep things simple, the form you are seeing me as right now is the true form of the lady you know as the Tsaritsa. The Tsaritsa you are familiar with is truly nothing more than a puppet that has been so ever since the day of her inauguration as the goddess of Cryo. Thousands of years ago, I was betrayed by someone I trusted, and the result of it is what you see before you. I lost control of my own self and was locked away in the darkest recesses of my mind, left to fade away to nothing but a deteriorated soul trapped in limbo for the rest of time. For centuries, my true form has slowly been in a cycle of being wringed dry of all of her power. But due to having more power than the usual Archon, The process of eventually meeting peace has lasted for millennia. As you can see, damage has been made, but my end won't likely come for likely thousands of more years. It's happened so much that the pain has become mute, and I truly gave up on any chance of being saved. Up until an aberration in the cycle occurred that opened a window of hope. She shifted her gaze back to Ganyu's own, causing Ganyu to wince in surprise. She had been too interested and fixated on listening to what was turning into a horrid truth to have even noticed that the frail being before her had turned her attention to her as a signal that the next part pertained to her.
Okay, now what kind of mood are we
Ganyu
in?
just let her speak. For millennia, the me you know remained unfazed by anything up until just recently. A crack opened in her that I'd never seen before. One that allowed me freedom from the chains I was bound to ever since that dreadful day.
So like a hope. Kind of like hopefulness.
That allowed me...
Is that even a word?
That allowed me freedom from the chains I was bound to ever since that dreadful day.
Okay. This is going to be interesting. Sounds like a review I need. Mind if I just dump the or I get the time and look over I got no time. Not in here. Not in here. You can send it to me. Let me think. You could either send it to me on Discord, because on my About page, the thing is, what's the word I'm looking for? Visible. Public. But you can send it there, or you could send it on even Twitter's kind of a thing. Nick Carter. Okay. Okay, I gotta think here. Hopefulness. Like hopefulness. I really do not want to reuse that track. But... Like hopefulness. This is gonna be tricky. Because like I said before... I'm the dark dude. I'm the one who writes the grim shit. There's no happiness. There's no happiness whatsoever in my shit, but sometimes I do write this kind of stuff. Like, I consider this a grimdark because it does have those kinds of parts where it's just hopeless. And it is a very dark story, but yeah. God. I don't know. Let's see, what would be a good one? These two are very similar in sound. I don't remember what this one sounds like. No. Nope, I know what that one is. No. What does Rise and Fall sound like again? No. What does this one sound like again? God, that's loud. Hello, PJ Tech. Sorry. PJ Texan Gaming. Sorry. Forgive my mispronunciation. Alright, I got a... What is this one? No. Definitely no. That is definitely a no. Mm-mm. No. No, that's a little too happy. Would this just work? No. That kind of has a sense of melancholy. Welcome to your first time being here. Sorry, I cannot talk for some reason. No. If you're here to troll, it doesn't bother me. Bro, I went through 5 years of bullying. You can't really hurt me. So, if you're here to just troll, get the fuck out of here. If you think it bothers me, it doesn't. Let's see, do you have 10k views on your channel? Do you have 400k views on anything of yours? Do you have this level of talent? Do you have over 9k subscribers? No. So, until you get there, come back and talk to me. Yeah, I do not know, man. I might just have to... Hang on. I really don't want to use that one. I've used that so many times. Mm-mm. Nope, that's definitely a no. Man, it's like neat. I think that's the one I really like. What's this one? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Okay, I want to try something different, but I don't know what. Wait a minute. That one. What is this one sound like again? Da, 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 da. No. No. Let's see. Wait, what's this? Oh. That might work. This is a different one. I don't... Wait. This was in the scene where Ganyu confesses everything. I remember this. Doom, doom, da, da. Alright. Let's go. Pull that down. We need a limiter as well. Where? Not a limiter, a balancer.
That allowed me freedom.
Ah, shit. Jesus, that scared the living out of me.
That allowed me freedom from the chains I was bound to ever since that dreadful day. That crack was cut.
Let's pull that back a little bit. Whoa, not that far.
Crack opened and hurt that I'd never seen before. One that allowed me freedom from the chains I was bound to ever since that dreadful day. That crack was caused by a rift in her usually unmatched methods of strategy. In other words, you and your comrades I saw recorded within her memories caused her to finally be outmatched in the current war you are fighting in against her. Knowing that you and that other girl managed to break her, I knew it was my only chance. Other girl managed to break her. I knew it was my be outmatched in the current war you are fighting in against her. Knowing that you...
Hang on. There's something that I missed right here. Let me try and see if I can't get that little...
Other girl managed to break her. I knew.
Okay, I gotta make sure there's no reverb here, because otherwise that's gonna sound kind of weird.
Knowing...
That may or may not work. Let me try something. God, I hate this. Nope. Okay, we're just gonna have to dink around for a minute. Could you just behave, program? I mean, really, is it too much to ask? Just a matter of patience, guys. Just a matter of patience. Let's see if that might work.
Knowing that you and that other...
This is so annoying because this program should not give me this trouble, but it does for some goddamn reason. I can't see. Hang on. Why are you not cutting? You piece of shit. No. Oh, fuck. No. Oh, I see. It did cut. It's just very small. Very small.
Knowing that...
If I can get that little part right there out, it would be wonderful. But this thing is going to give me the hardest time you can imagine. That's not what I meant to do. Let's see here. If it would just behave, it wouldn't be this big of an issue. I don't think that's gonna work. If it has to not... I don't know.
Knowing that you and that...
It's gonna have to work. So I'm not gonna sit here all day and play with this.
Knowing that you and that other girl managed to break her, I knew it was my only chance to escape and tell the truth about what happened after the coronation of the current me. And what happened? Ganyu said sorrowfully.
There we go.
The Tsaritsa sighed heavily before continuing, implicating that whoever had betrayed her had been close to her. She was hurt badly by this trusted friend or companion, and it was evident by the tone of her voice. The controller of my puppet self is the person you know as number 2, or the doctor. She confessed, to which Ganyu gasped, knowing who the doctor was very well. He designed the crown for my coronation.
That'll work.
But little did I know that once that very crown was placed upon my head, I'd be bound to an eternity of darkness and misery as a catalyst for another madman's goals for destruction and war. I'd been under surveillance of the doctor for thousands of years, up until you and your comrades managed to put a hole in his plans with no solution. This truth has been hidden away from history, all because as the Tsaritsa, I only wanted unity for my fellow brothers and sisters. I wanted to prevent catastrophes like the Archon War. Because I was a good-hearted Archon, I was silenced and used for the opposite. Ganyu was shocked, and her heart ached for the fragment of the true Cryo Archon before her. It was horrifying and absolutely disgusting what she'd been subjected to out of nothing but the sole desire to watch the world burn. She couldn't fathom what the true Tsaritsa had gone through over those thousands of years, all because she wanted to bring peace between the Archons. Ganyu got on her knees and approached the goddess, noticing that she'd begun to cry. To show her sympathy and assurance that she believed everything she'd told her, Ganyu wiped away the tears of the Archon with her right index finger. She was no more than a young god that had been betrayed cruelly by those she'd trusted, and Ganyu could feel her pain. All along, her enemy had been another victim, and now she could see exactly why the true remnant of the Tsaritsa's true self had come to her.
Remnant.
It wasn't just to tell her the disturbing truth, but also to show her who the true enemy was. She knew what to do now. I'm so sorry that you've had to suffer for so long, Your Majesty.
Wait a minute.
While the Archon War wasn't prevented, and many of the original gods are now dead, your dreams for peace among the gods can still become reality. Please, tell me how my comrades and I can stop the Doctor from accomplishing his goals. It took a second for the Tsaritsa to answer, composing herself well enough to give a clear answer.
Okay.
I appreciate your words, but even as frail as I am, I know my dreams are long gone. However, while my old dreams as the Tsaritsa are dead, my new dream of saving my brothers and sisters and the world we call home from extinction is very much within reach. Therefore, I will tell you everything I can to assure that the Doctor is stopped.
Alright.
She paused briefly to collect her thoughts clearly, knowing this would be her only chance to relate everything to Ganyu.
Okay.
After a long moment of thought, she finally gave Ganyu everything she'd need to hopefully end their war with the infamous Fatui Harbinger. Defeating number 2 will be no easy feat, and to do it, you'll need more than just an army. The first thing you'll need is to break his ties with his other Harbingers, and the only way to do that is to come after my doppelganger. He is currently under heavy guard of all of the Fatui Harbingers in the center point of the Zapolyarny Palace, minus number 2. Be aware that they are all completely unaware of the truth I have told you, so please do your best to convince them. If you can convince them, you can get to me, and from there, perhaps I can claim my life from that bastard who stole it. After that, all of the resources of the Tsaritsa and Fatui will be at your service to face the Doctor. Number 2 will use his clones to fool you, but the true version resides in the hidden laboratory located under Frostcap Island. Getting there will be a challenge, seeing he's prepared for any intruders by deploying fellow Fatui soldiers. As much as I wish I could save them from dying in vain, I cannot, nor do I believe they'd listen to reason. Your last challenge will be getting to the laboratory itself. The Doctor has laced the path with several traps and obstacles that won't be easy to traverse. Considering you've made it this far and are still alive, I believe you will take the proper precautions to make it there safely.
Okay.
As for number 2, I'm afraid I have no idea what awaits you if you reach him. He is very unpredictable and clever, so I highly doubt he'll just get on his knees and surrender. I understand, Ganyu assured, placing her right hand on the center of her chest. Whatever it takes, we will fight for your and Teyvat's freedom, no matter the cost.
Okay.
I believe you, and thank you for believing in me. However, I do have one request of you.
Excuse
Shall
me.
things not go according to plan the day you infiltrate the palace? A bitter taste filled Ganyu's mouth instantly, knowing what this request implied from her years in the Archon War. What is it? What is it? A pause followed, clarifying to Ganyu that her assumption was indeed correct. If the opportunity to end the life of my reality self presents itself, do not hesitate to do it. If you kill me, the doctor will have no control over the androids anymore. If the life of my reality self presents itself, do not hesitate to do it.
Something like that. Okay, let's see. What fits here? Something like sad. I think I know what I'm gonna put. Because it kind of fits for me. That's not here. That would be here. There it is. Oh. Okay. Let's go something like that. And something like this.
Not hesitate to do it. If you kill me, the doctor will have no control over the androids anymore, nor will he have access to a god's power. Ganyu wanted to absolutely refuse, but she couldn't be selfish either. She couldn't deny a victim of thousands of years of torment their freedom. Otherwise, she'd be no better than the doctor. Therefore, with a clenched fist and unadulterated conflict, she agreed to do so if the battle came down to having her do so. All right, I promise. The Tsaritsa smiled, despite knowing her request had caused much anxiety and hurt for her practical savior.
That fits very well.
Thank you. I know I've put a heavy task on your shoulders, but please believe me when I say it's the best solution for the good of the world. It's my responsibility as an Archon of this world to see it survives the madness of the Doctor, and your duty as one who fights to protect it. Ganyu nodded in agreement, knowing the goddess was right. The stage was set, and the target objectives were clear, so all that was left was to relay everything to her comrades back in reality. However, upon a sudden reminder of a critical factor to her whole situation in reality, Ganyu added an additional comment. I'm sorry to ask you more in your weakened state, Your Majesty, but I must know. Are the Adepti and Rex Lapis still alive and well? The Tsaritsa winced at the question, showing she had knowledge on the topic. She sighed heavily,
Moonlight
following with
Sonata.
an answer that brewed mixed emotions
According
on
to
Ganyu's
Wikipedia,
end.
The Piano Sonata number 14, sharp minor, marked quasi una
They are
fantasia,
indeed alive.
opus-
But much like myself, they have been forced into a docile state by the use of devices created by Number 2. Therefore, I cannot say they are in a good state, seeing they have been drained of a great amount of their strength.
I know that.
Ganyu felt her stomach churn, feeling sick from the cold and horrid truth of her fellow Adepti, guide in life, and adoptive mother. She needed to know where they were before their time eventually would run out. Please, I need to know where they are. I must save them before they are killed by the Doctor's cruel tactics. The Tsaritsa nodded in agreement, but the change in expression on her face reflected nothing good, and that made Ganyu's blood turn to ice. They are stored in the Doctor's lab where the androids are being produced and modified. I'm very sorry that I can't give you a better answer, But that's where they are, and it's likely he'll use them against you. Therefore, you will have to be strong when it comes to you having to decide what is best for the world. Ganyu clenched her fists in frustration, knowing that the Tsaritsa was likely correct. Could she watch the godly beings she grew up with be killed in order for her to save the world? The climax to this war was going to be harder than anything she'd ever experienced in the Archon War, but she held her right fist over her heart as a salute that she would do what was best for Teyvat, even if it cost her fellow Adepti's lives. While it will be hard and devastating for me to handle, if it comes to that, I will do the right thing. I believe you. I can tell that you've been through many hardships, but also know you have a strong heart and will to protect those you love and care about.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't see your other comment.
A brief pause followed, allowing the heaviness of
I do
Ganyu's new
appreciate
objective
that,
to
and
sink in and
Yeah,
solidify
I really
in her
enjoyed writing
mind.
this story. That's why I don't let the
After the
trolls get
pause,
to me.
the goddess concluded their meeting with a
I'm
final
not lying
statement.
when I said I was bullied for 5 years.
Light has come from
Horrible,
beyond this
horrible
realm.
ways.
Therefore, our time has run out.
So I've learned to just
Now
ignore the
awaken
trolls.
and do what is
And don't
right
even
for
let
the
them get
world.
to me.
She gently put her right hand on Ganyu's own left, ending the dream with words of confidence to her savior. I will be waiting for you. Shall you succeed in your mission? Good luck, brave one. Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Automate. There it is. Okay. Oh, I did that wrong. Let's go something like, I don't know, that.
Cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Too much.
Serpent all the way to her head. Then, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Okay, let's go something like, maybe, if it'll let me.
A weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Much better. Much better. Okay, and there we go. Okay. Now, let's take a look at that sequence of events one more time.
Sink in and solidify in her mind. After the pause, the goddess concluded their meeting with a final statement. Light has come from beyond this realm. Therefore, our time has run out. Now awaken and do what is right for the world. She gently put her right hand on Ganyu's own left, ending the dream with words of confidence to her savior. I will be waiting for you. Shall you succeed in your mission? Good luck, brave one. Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her. Cold energy.
A surge. A surge. So that's like an electrical surge. But not exactly as well. So like, I don't know. I could get technical here, but let's see. I'm just gonna go the easy route. Okay, shockwave. I've learned the name. Now where was it? I don't remember. No, I'm gonna get pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Fancy here. So, first thing I'm gonna need is heavy. That one. So that's on 8. Then another audio clip. Maybe. I need a electric charge kind of sound effect. What is this? Oh god, do I dare? Okay, youch. Sorry guys, I didn't know. Sorry about that. Okay, now I need the shockwave sound effect. I apologize if anybody's ears just got, you know, destroyed. That's why I took my headphones, like, away from my ears immediately. Shockwave. Okay, that's gotta be under my downloads then. Okay. Oops, I went the wrong place. Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. Okay, then that's under YT. Shockwave. This one. Why? Okay, never mind. Okay, first things first. We need the heavy winds. There's a method to my madness. Just give me a second. Okay, turn that down. Turn that way down. And then turn that down. We'll adjust the volume in just a second. Okay, first things first. Let's get this in the right timing.
The dream with words of confidence to her savior. I will be waiting for you. Shall you succeed in your mission? Good luck, brave one. Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her.
Okay. So, something like...
The dream.
Okay, how loud are we talking here?
Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering...
Okay. Heavy wind clip needs to be a little, I think louder. So that was on 8. Turn that up a little bit.
Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her...
Okay, hang on. We need to give this a fade-in kind of thing. Something like this.
Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon... Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Okay. That's actually almost perfect timing. Why is the wind so loud? It kind of fits, but I feel like those gusts kind of, yeah, a little too noisy. Or that just a little bit.
Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes.
In a flash. Okay. So hang on, I gotta get this correct. In a flash.
In her dream self's head. But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she...
In a flash. It's like right here somewhere. Now we need the shockwave. Which, let's see.
And in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Okay. Let me mute this real quick and figure out what we're doing here.
And in a flash, she opened her eyes.
That might work right there. Okay, let me get into the right spot.
And in a flash, she opened her eyes. And in a flash, she opened her eyes.
Shockwave needs to be louder.
And in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
That's it.
And in a flash, she opened her eyes back to
Okay. We're gonna have to zoom in for that. Alright, let's figure this out. So I need the heavy winds first. Alright, sent you a request. Hope to hear from you soon. Glad I joined into the stream. Good luck with editing. Alright. Alright, we need boink. Boink. Push that up. Push this down. Let's just see if that might work.
And in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Maybe. Electric shock. Volume. It's like almost instant. Right there. Okay, bring this down.
Over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality. But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened.
Okay. Let's go something like this more.
But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality. But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her...
I kind of like the second one better. Come on. Behave. Thank you.
But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes. But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eye.
That would need a lot of reverb on it. Whoa, stop it.
But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash... But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality. But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back.
That might work. Kind of like this one better. Okay, so that would be on, I think, 10. Yeah.
But weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
I like that. I like that. right. Something like that. I don't know. Okay, cut that. Now what I need to do, let's go ahead and add some reverb.
A weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes. A weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality. A weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Oh. I know what's going on here.
Sunlight blinded Ganyu's vision upon her wake, having remembered her dream and now clear objective detail for detail. She raised her head from her pillow and onto her feet, following with getting dressed and making her way to where her mother awaited her every morning. As expected, Rajora was seated and savoring herself. A weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Okay. Cut. I still want to go over this more.
Traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
The heavy wind needs to extend a little bit more.
Sunlight blinded Ganyu's vision upon... Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality. Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality. Sunlight blinded Ganyu's vision upon her wake, having remembered her dream and now... Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Okay, let's one more time.
Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality. Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality. Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
Hang on.
Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
One more time.
Suddenly, a surge of ice-cold energy entered her, traversing her body like a slithering serpent all the way to her head. Then, upon the ice-laced snake touching her psyche in her dream self's head, a weightlessness took over her body, and in a flash, she opened her eyes back to reality.
I can live with that. Alright, there's where the next one goes. Okay, now we've gotten that out of the way. Now we just need to add another sound effect. Load simple. Okay, that needs to go on the USB drive. Maybe. Warning. All right. All right, let's see if this might work. Oh, I forgot. Okay, so we're gonna have to toy with the volume on this one quite a bit. Okay. So something like that, I guess. Okay. What I need to do first is automate the volume. And we need to put it, I think it's about 35%.
Sunlight blinded Ganyu's vid.
Okay. Push this out. I'd say about right there. So let's go something like, really? Piece of shit. I thought I already had a thing on it. I did. Something like this. No. Right there. Copy value. Paste value.
Sunlight blinded Ganyu's vision upon her wake, having remembered her dream and now clear objective detail for detail. She raised her head from her pillow and onto her feet, following with getting dressed and making her way to where her mother awaited her every morning. As expected, Rajora was seated and savoring herself with a fresh pot of herbal tea out in the courtyard,
Okay.
taking subtle sips.
Hang on.
Having remembered her dream and now clear objective detail for detail. She raised her head from her pillow and onto her feet, following with getting dressed and making her way to where her mother
Making her way. Okay. So first things first, what we need to do is this thing will behave. Paste value again. Then do this.
her way to where her mother awaited her every morning. As expected, Rajora was seated and savoring herself with a fresh pot of...
That'll work. Alright, now we need the walking sound effect, which I haven't used. Alright, load sample. We need to go to the downloads. Let's see. We need walk on concrete. Yep, that's it. Okay, first things first. Lower. Then we give it a limiter. Noise gate. Then it doesn't need a reverb. No.
her way to where her mother awaited her every morning.
Stop. What the fuck? Oh, there it goes.
Her way to where her mother awaited her every morning. As expected, Rajora was seated and savoring herself with a fresh pot of herbal tea out in the courtyard, taking subtle sips in wait for her daughter's arrival. The sound of Ganyu's footsteps caught her attention.
The sound of Ganyu's footsteps caught her attention.
The sound of Ganyu's footsteps caught her attention instantaneously, having hearing as sharp as the tip of a sewing needle. She turned to the sight of her grown child, and upon one look of Ganyu's face, immediately knew something wasn't right. Being the mother she was, she approached her daughter with concern and addressed her clear worry. "Ganyu, is everything okay?" she asked. Ganyu wasn't surprised her mother had caught on faster than she could have even addressed it, never having been the best at cloaking her emotions from sight. "I'm fine, Mother," she assured, following with a brief explanation of why she was actually troubled. "However, I'm sorry to say that I must leave today, seeing something major has come up in relevance to our war against Nesnaya." Rajora raised an eyebrow, but she also could tell that Ganyu was being serious just by the tone of her voice. "Slow down, sweetie. What has happened to cause this sudden decision?"
Actually, before I do that, I need to go back to where it says, "I'm fine, Mother." Is this one?
"Ganyu, is everything okay?" and addressed her clear worry. "Ganyu, is everything okay?" "I'm fine, Mother."
Okay, there we go. Okay, let's bring that back a little bit because it's a little too much of a pause. That should work.
"I'm fine, Mother," she assured, following with a brief explanation of why she was actually troubled. "However, I'm sorry to say that I must leave today, seeing something major has come up in relevance to our war against Nesnaya." Rajora raised an eyebrow, but she also could tell that Ganyu was being serious just by the tone of her voice. "Slow down, sweetie. What has happened to cause this sudden decision?" "Well, to put it in a simple way, I learned a horrid truth about who I thought was our enemy. A truth that has changed everything this war." "What has happened to cause this sudden decision?" "Well, to put it in a simple way, I learned a horrid truth about who I thought was our enemy. A truth that has changed everything about this war." Ganyu then followed by explaining her encounter with the true form of the Tsaritsa, making sure to include everything critical to the matter. At the end of it, Rajora was shaken and horrified to her core. She would have never thought such a vile and petrifying truth could exist, and she didn't even assume that it could have been a nightmare. Ganyu had told her of her epiphany prior to her arrival at the Peaks of Serenity, and from the way the encounter with the Tsaritsa had been described, Rajora didn't doubt that this phenomenon her daughter had witnessed was something of a similar nature. There's no doubt in my mind that what you experienced wasn't just a nightmare. The Qilin who passed the trial gained stronger spiritual strength, and that strength pertains to Archons as well. Therefore, I have full confidence that you did indeed speak with the true Tsaritsa, and believe that everything she told you is true. My heart yearns for the poor girl, God or not. So, you agree that it's best I leave to relay all of this to my comrades? Of course I do. While I would rather have...
Okay, I know it goes here. Seeing it is kind of where she's from. 13. That one. I pulled a Chi-Chi theme. And I've gotten plenty of Chi-Chis, trust me. Not a fun time. Alright. Turn that down a shit ton. For some reason, these tracks are just freaking high quality.
Of course I do. While I would rather have you train a little longer, the fate of the world is more important than that. Ganyu nodded with a smile. Thank you, Mom. I promise that we won't be apart for long this time. I know, dear. I'm so proud of the strong and beautiful woman you've become, and always have been. Ganyu smiled again, walking up to her mother and embracing her in a walking up.
Where did you go? There you are.
Walking up to her mother and embracing her in a tight and warm hug. Rajora returned the gesture, and after a long minute of saying goodbye, Ganyu ran off to gather her belongings and started the long trip back to the gates of Mondstadt.
Oh, right.
Walking up to her mother and embracing her in a tight and warm hug. Rajora returned the gesture, and after a long minute of saying goodbye, Ganyu ran off to gather her belongings and started the long trip back to the gates of Mondstadt. Started the long trip back to the gates of Mondstadt.
A little too abrupt. Push it out just a little bit more. About right there. Hey Tsukushima. Man, you missed me telling a freaking troll off. You missed it. These people think that they can easily just like irritate me. Nope, not gonna happen.
Started the long trip back to the gates of Mondstadt.
Perfect. Okay. Next chapter shouldn't be that bad either, so that's good. That was actually really good. Not too shabby. Is there anything I wanted to look over? Anything at all? I don't think so. I think that that's good enough. Definitely not as much work as yesterday's. Not even close. It was just a lot of copy paste. TBOIAL chapter 27. Phonics. Yeah, Hack Guy is corny. I'll definitely play it back and watch. Hack Guy? Oh, you mean Scaramouche. He's a character I really just don't care for. You know, I think that's exactly what's going to happen with all the Fatui, like, Harbingers, minus the Doctor, because he's crazy. We're just going to somehow befriend all of them, minus the Doctor. Like, I think the Doctor is the real enemy, honestly. Like, he's that fucking crazy and just a maniac. Like, I don't think there's any redeeming qualities to him whatsoever, especially after what he did to Kale. Ugh. Like, you've seen it. Well, have you played the Fontaine story yet? If you haven't, well, that'd be a spoiler. But of all the Harbingers, I feel the Doctor is the one that's just goddamn, like, not even close to redeemable. Like, Child's just Child. Ow. The Wanderer was betrayed and tricked by the Doctor. Like, he seems like the actual real villain, not the Tsaritsa. Like, the Tsaritsa, I really think is on par with what goes on in this story. I think that, one, she's either being controlled somehow, or two, she's not aware. I think that that is the case with the Tsaritsa. I don't think she's aware of what is happening. Like, it just doesn't seem like, I don't know. Because think about it, when we get to Snezhnaya, we're going to have to talk to the Cryo Archon at some point, correct? Hello, she's our enemy. How the hell are we going to even, redeem the Tsaritsa out? How? Then again, Scaramouche was kind of the same way. Like, I seriously think there's something going on with the Tsaritsa, that she's being fooled or something. Like, I don't think the strings are being pulled by her. I think they're being pulled by someone else. And I truly think it's Dottore, because he's just that much of a fucking maniac. Maniac, sorry. Oh, shit. This is like one of the most important chapters, too. Mainly because of what happens. Next one shouldn't take that long. It's a pretty short chapter. But I will need I will need every one of these sound effects. Oh, God. How am I doing on RAM space? I can't check. Fuck me. But yeah. I truly think that there's someone else pulling the strings. Like, it just feels that way. I also found something. I found another game interest that really is good. It's like one of those, like, diamonds in the rough kind of thing. Like, I decided to try out some different gacha games just to see if there was, like, a hidden gem. Like, I tried one of the ones that just came out, Monster Never Cry. Did not like it. It was very corny and it was too slow. Then I tried one called, what was it called? Watcher of Realms? Yeah. That one's definitely not for me. It's very, like, weird. It's like a strategy game. Like, it kind of reminded me of Fire Emblem a little bit, but not close enough. Not to mention, the voice acting is super weird. Like, there's a character that she's a pirate that talks in a southern accent. I'm like, my ship, my crew, my rules. That was literally her line. I'm like, why is Applejack a pirate? And what the fuck? Pirates don't speak in a southern accent. They speak in, like, I don't know, pirate talk. You know, it shouldn't be that. I'm like, what the fuck? Not to mention, the gacha rates were fucking terrible. Holy moly. You want to talk about a game that is definitely pay to win? There you go. Same thing with Honkai Impact 3rd. Like, I'm not gonna lie, they've almost roped me back in with this second chapter, or second volume, or whatever the hell it is. But I don't have the space, and I don't have the time. But this new one that I found called Eversoul, I'd seen ads for it like a year ago, and at that time I just didn't have enough space, so I didn't even put it on, I didn't even want to try it. But it's called Eversoul, and it's actually a really good game. It's also very fair. Like, the majority of what you play in terms of the gacha system, I almost don't want to call it a gacha game, because one, the rates are freaking fair as hell, and two, the majority of like the epics or 5 stars, you can just get by like farming the pieces or buying them from the shop. Like, it's really generous. On the normal banner, you can literally get any character. It's randomized, but you can get a 5-star character every 30 pulls. That is really good. 30 pulls and a guaranteed 5-star? Please. It's not hard to get the pieces. It's not hard to get the currency that you need, too. Like, the tickets that you need, not hard at all. But I gotta take in consideration, it's early game. I'll keep playing it just to see if the late game proves to be problematic. Like, it was kind of the same thing with Nikkei. Nikkei was very fair at first, but once you get to the point of where the power system really starts to become a problem, that's really where the game starts to become very pay to win. But this one doesn't have like a power level kind of thing going on. And it really, I don't know. It just feels fair. The story's good. The animations are gorgeous. Like, would I call it better than Genshin Impact or Star Rail? Yes. The animations are actually a lot more diverse. Like, you actually have characters doing things that they're supposed to do in the scenarios. Like, if they're sad, they're sad. If they're troubled, they're troubled. If they are, like, you know, embarrassed, they're embarrassed. It's a really good game, like a diamond in the rough. And I think it got overlooked just because there's other gacha games that are not as good or well made that do basically the same exact thing. But I find it very, very fair. The only thing that I really wish was different is that it wasn't all Japanese voice acted. But here's the thing. Watching the characters talk, it's like watching an anime. So it doesn't bother me. Now, in something like Honkai Impact 3rd, where I have to read freaking text layers like crazy, yeah, it gets very tiring for the brain. Another thing I really like about it, the story does not mess around and gets straight to the point. I had to delete Punishing Grey Raven for this, and honestly, I don't regret my choice. Because Punishing Grey Raven, the only thing I really didn't like about it was the story. The storytelling and like the events and everything, fucking slow. The beginning of it talks until finally something interesting happens. You have to go through like 4 chapters or 4 stages before something finally gets interesting. Like, there was a character, when I joined back, there's a character named, I think her name is Ayla or something like that. Her event was going on. I'm 10 freaking stages in, and it is still yapping. And I'm like, oh my god, can we get to the interesting parts anytime soon? You know, I was just getting so infuriated because, you know, Get to the fucking point. Like, it was bugging the fuck out of me. And it was annoying because, yeah, it was that annoying. Okay, how am I doing on RAM space? We're kind of pushing it. Before I touch anything, let me go check it on Audacity. But yeah, that was the one thing about Punching Guy Raven I did not care for. The freaking story is slow and overly written. Like, way too much talking. And that was the problem that was another problem of Honkai Impact 3 that I didn't like too. Once you get to like where the story really starts to get interesting, talk. And they talk, and don't shut up. I'm like, can we just get to the fucking point already? But this one, nah, it gets straight to the point. Like, it skips all the exposition and finally gets to the good stuff. That's what I like about it. I love that the story doesn't fuck around and gets to the good shit. What am I looking for? TBO, chapter 27. Full mix. Genshin, okay. For Genshin, the storytelling, I feel, does a really good job. People say that the pacing's off. Not me. Like, was Fontaine a little overwritten? Yeah. But here's the thing. Once it got good, it kept my attention. Except for Act 3. You'll understand why when you get there, but yeah, it drags out so much. And there's a reason why it does it. It's very poetic. And having recently replayed it, if you just skip the useless crap, it basically is shortened by a lot. And it's not as much of a drag. But yeah, it fucking wastes so much time. Like, you're talking to people that don't have anything to do with this shit. They have nothing to do with it up until you finally get to the good stuff. And the majority of the third act is yap. That is it. It irritates me when they do that because, you know, I don't want to sit here and listen to yapping for 5 hours. Now, in terms of like 4.2, the 4.2 Art Conquest is the best in the game. It gets your attention instantly. Like, immediately, like 5 minutes in, you're like, okay, something's up. Like, immediately you know something good is happening. And it keeps your attention straight to the end. Like in the first act, when the Archon shows up, your attention is captured. Because you're like, something don't seem right here. But I won't spoil anything. You'll get it when you get there. Farina is a very interesting Archon. And in my opinion, it's the peak of the game's storytelling. Yeah, we look pretty good. I think we're pretty set.
Must leave today.
I think we're good. Honkai Star Rail. Would I say that the story is a little overwritten? Yes. Yes, I would. Cancel. Because here's the thing. The newest area, Penacony, oh my god, do they yap. It takes forever for Penacony to finally get interesting. And that's sad because once the story gets interesting, you're hooked. Immediately you get your attention and it keeps you hooked. I'm like, okay, then why do we have to just go through fucking hours of these motherfuckers just talking about nothing relevant? Seriously, get to the fucking point. I just love Farina. She's such a sweet. Oh, my friend. Oh, my friend. Oh, my friend. Just wait. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm sorry, you made me fucking laugh. Just wait. I feel I'm wrong in my first impression of her goodness. Where did you first, like, see her? Like, where did you first see her? Like, what was your first interaction with her? Because if it was, like, one of the events, you make complete sense. I guarantee it was probably the musket event, which I honestly thought was one of the better quests. Like a side quest. Okay, what am I gonna do here? I don't really need much here. Control A, delete. Okay. Back to beginning now. Alright. Now. Load sample. DBOIL chapter 28. EQ. Hang on. What did I name it? It's under EQ, wasn't it? Yeah. My very first time was the trailer, honestly. I unfortunately didn't get to do the event because I was so stressed and trying to catch up. Don't worry about it, dude. You don't have to rush. That's one thing about Genshin Impact. You don't need to rush. My entire view of heroes based upon her animations and style. Her is I can't. Why? Why is that bad? YouTube. Just type it out and like with spaces. It won't get you. Okay, anyways, back to this. This isn't gonna like cut, is it? Yeah, that's gonna cut. God damn it. I don't think it's cutting the beginning, is it? No. Okay. I gotcha. My first view of her is based upon her animation style. Okay, but where did you first saw her in her trailer? Have you seen her in game yet? Like, have you actually seen, like, interacted with her in the actual game? In an event or something? Because I think she's been in, I want to say, like, 3 events. Let's see, she was in the musket event. That was, like, right after her big quest. Then there was the one with Lantern, right? I want to say there was another one. I could be wrong, though. Yeah, she's been in 2 events, I believe. I'm this close to going to Fontaine based off this. You can go to Fontaine. You don't have to, well, you have to finish the Sumeru story first. But you can go to Fontaine in game right now. It's not bordered like, Inazuma is. But You're gonna love the Fontaine story. Minus the third act. The third act sucks. Fourth act, great. Fifth act, fantastic. Like, I thought Sumeru couldn't be beat. Boy, was I wrong. But once you see Farina for the first time in game, oh boy.
The site of Dawn Winery came into Ganyu's...
Okay, we're still doing Morning in the Forest. Should still be the same volume, shouldn't it? Where's the volume layer going to do the thing? No. Okay, good.
The site of Dawn Winery came into Ganyu's view, having traveled miles upon miles to meet back up with one of her fellow comrades. Along the way back, she'd pondered on making this detour to fill Diluc in on a new course of action, seeing if they were going to infiltrate the Zeppelyarny Palace, Diluc would need to be aware. He had eyes in the cryo capital right now, and was easily her and Kuching's best ally in terms of information on their enemy's status. With this new information, he'd have to alert his spies to obtain more critical information before they started the long trip to the borders of Snezhnaya. They had to be sure of any potential factors that could impact their plans, and that started with proper surveillance. Ganyu's nerves danced at the thought of the likely near future, seeing this mission would be the most important with no room for failure whatsoever. They'd have to be ready and willing to fight to their last breath against anything the doctor would throw at them, and that meant potentially losing allies she had come to care dearly about. However, she'd brushed away those thoughts, seeing that wasn't anything set in stone yet, so she instead focused on her objective at the moment. She walked up onto the foundation of the building and pushed open the doors that led to the inside of the winery, active at the moment. She walked up onto the foundation.
She walked up, okay. Luckily, I've already got that sound effect. I think. There it is. She walked up onto the foundation and pushed the door open. So this is a multitude.
She walked up onto the foundation of the building and pushed open the doors that led to...
Okay. I need to zoom in a little bit.
She walked up on...
There we go. Okay, now I need another sound effect. Door. This one shouldn't be too bad. We should be fine. Oh. That's under my USB drive. He's definitely gonna be like, yeah, I know what you plan on doing. Okay. Oh. Door. Whoa. Door kick down. Let's just go with this. But yeah, you're in for a surprise when you get to Fontaine. Should be that far from it, I would imagine. I mean, of all the Sumeru chapters, the longest one is definitely the one where you go and where you play day after day. I won't spoil just in case you don't know about it yet. Alright, what are we looking for? We're looking for a limiter. We need a noise gate. Okay, let's just go with the default first. And you go 14. Something like that.
She walked up.
I just know this one is a little tricky to sometimes get right with the noise gate.
That led to the inside of the winery.
Yep. Noise gate is way too jumpy. So we need to tighten it up a little bit.
That led to the inside of the winery. The inside was the same as always, the marble floor reverberating every step she took past the foyer and into the main that led to the inside of the winery.
Okay.
that ledge to the inside of the winery.
There we go. There we go. Okay, now I just need to put the steps in between. I'm gonna have to make it unique as a sample because I need a certain sound. So like 2 steps in. Copy. Make unique as a sample. I was actually a little scared in the time loop act thing was absolutely. Oh yeah, I remember playing that. And I was like, what the hell is going on right now? It completely threw me off guard. Like, really? Yeah, sure, why not? Yes. Okay. Nope, need to get this first. Where are you hiding? It's this one. Ah, shit, what am I on? I'm on, am I on 12? I am on 14. So I need to go to 15. There we go. Okay, give that a limiter first. Boom, boom. Hold that down. Now give it a reverb. Default. Turn that down to about 10%. All right. I almost cried when I thought, you're not the only one, buddy. You're not the only one. A lot of people cried. Because I loved Dunyerzad. Like, she was actually a character I could give a shit about. Okay. We need this one. Like, she wasn't just an NPC that was there to be there. She was actually something important to the game. That's why I loved her so much.
That ledge to the inside of the winery. The inside was the same as always. The marble...
Wait, what? Oh, I know what happened. I know what happened. I'm dumb. No. What are you doing? Stop it! I didn't know I could even do that. Okay. Why are you doing this? Okay, get that out.
That ledge to the inside of the winery. The inside was the same as always. The marble floor reverberated.
There we go. All right. Grab that. Cut this. Okay, that needs to come out just a little more. I also need to make this unique as a sample. Because it needs a little bit of a reverb. Sure. Part 7. That go on 16, not 17. Alright, let's see if we can just do this. Reverb. Something like that.
That ledge to the inside of the winery. The inside was the same as always. The marble floor reverberating every step she took past the foyer and into the main room.
Okay, hang on. Okay, so first things first. Let's see. Turn that down to about right here. Then we need another limiter. I'm gonna have to adjust that a little bit. All right, there I'd say. Okay, now I actually need to move the reverb down because I want the noise gate to apply first.
That ledge to the inside of the winery. The inside was the same as always, the marble floor reverberating every step she took past the foyer and into the main room.
Oh, I see. That's why it sounds so weird. Okay, we need to go up. Okay. So where she starts to step in, right there, we need to do something like volume. Volume. Thank you. All right. We need to kind of motion that down a little bit. So it sounds like she stepped in. Okay.
The inside was the same as always, the marble floor reverberating
Something like that, maybe?
The inside was the same as always, the marble floor reverberating every step she took past the foyer.
I don't care. I like to be professional. Upon it shutting. Something like that? I don't know.
The inside was the same as always, the marble floor reverberating every step she took past the foyer and in.
That'll work. That'll work. Okay.
Side of the winery. The inside was the same as always, the marble floor reverberating every step she took past the foyer and into the main room. She hadn't been surprised not to see Diluc or Kuching.
Okay, so now what I need is like the sound of a fireplace, because that's kind of the ambience I gave for the inside of that area. I think I'm on 17. Okay. Okay, so it's got to be distant. So it's going to be very low. Okay, let's give it kind of a reverb. Very low. Around 5%. Well, let's see if that works. Do something like... After she steps in fully. Da, da, da. Okay. Let me go down here. Maybe. Okay. Hello? Oh, there it goes. Okay, we have to have it at full right about there. See if that might work.
Side of the winery. The inside was the same as always, the marble floor reverberating every step she took past the foyer and into the main room. She hadn't been surprised not to see Diluc or Kuching, both being busy bees in the current war against Chechnya. She was quickly noticed and approached by one of the main maids that worked to keep the building clean and maintained. "Welcome back, Miss Ganyu," she greeted nicely. "Thank you." Our Kuching side of the winery. The inside was the same as always, the marble floor reverberating every step she took past the foyer and into the main room. She hadn't been surprised not to see Diluc or Kuching, both being busy bees in the current war against Chechnya. She was quickly noticed and approached by one of the main maids that worked to keep the building clean and maintained room. She hadn't been surprised not to see Diluc or Kuching, both being busy bees in the current war against Chechnya. She was quickly noticed and approached by one of the main maids that worked to keep the building clean and maintained. Was quickly noticed and approached by one of the
approached right there.
It was quickly noticed and approached by one of the main maids that worked to keep the building clean and maintained. Welcome back, Miss Ganyu. She greeted nicely.
That works.
Thank you. Are Kuching or Sir Diluc here at the moment? I'm afraid not. Both were alerted to Mondstadt early this morning and haven't been back since. Ganyu felt a spark of curiosity flicker in her soul. The fact her company had used the word alerted had made her slightly anxious, seeing it seemed to imply that something of great importance or hazard had occurred. Do you know exactly what they were called away for? I don't, but I could tell by their demeanors and actions prior to leaving that it was indeed something important. It's probably best that you head to Mondstadt as well, seeing I can also tell that you are here for something important. Ganyu just nodded as an answer, too worried to explain anything about her encounter with the Tsaritsa. I'll head there straight away. Thank you for your assistance. No problem. It's what I'm here for. The maid finished. Then, with a smile, Ganyu turned and took her leave towards Mondstadt.
Right there. Okay. How am I gonna do this? I'm probably gonna just have to redo the entire, like... Hope the rest of this room goes well. No problem, man. Have a good day.
Her leave towards Mondstadt.
Ow! Okay, what track is that on? That's a little too sharp for my ears. 15. What volume level are you at? You're at the same as the other one.
Her leave towards Mondstadt. Once she'd exited the building, she had shifted her...
Okay. So what I need is... Let's be the opposite way around. Where did you go? Alright, let's go something like... Can I bring this backward? No. Can I push it forward? No.
Her leave towards Mondstadt. Once she'd exited the building, she had shifted her pace into a...
I mean, that kind of works. So, what I need is the original. So let's go to the original. Come on. Oh, you dirty son of a bitch. Let's go something like that. Okay. Once she'd taken her leave...
Her leave towards Mondstadt. Once she'd exited the building, she had shifted her pace into a run, enhancing her speed with her leave towards Mondstadt. Once she'd exited the building, she had shifted her pace into a run, enhancing her speed with the use of her new... Once she'd exited the building, she had shifted her pace in...
Okay. That will work just fine. Okay, cut that. Now I need the sound of the forest again, right here. Let's see. About right there, I'd say. Let's go automate volume. So it's gonna be rather quick.
Once she'd exited the building, she had shifted her pace into a run, enhancing her speed with the use of her new abilities. The journey from Dawn Winery to Mondstadt would usually take a long 30 minutes, but with her new speed, it only took 5.
Oh.
She met the bridge in no time and entered the city.
Okay, hang on. I gotta get rid of the fireplace as well. Forgot about that. Okay. Oh, I didn't need to do that. Could've just done this. Something like that, maybe?
Once she'd exited the building, she had shifted her pace into a run, enhancing her speed with the use of her new abilities.
Okay. Alright, I didn't mean to cut that, but it's alright. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Alright.
Once she'd exited the building, she had shifted her pace into a run, enhancing her speed with the use of her new abilities. The journey from Dawn Winery to Mondstadt would usually take a long 30 minutes, but with her new speed, it only took 5. She met the bridge in no time and entered the city's inner borders to the sight of many men and women. Entered the city's
borders. Okay, that's this. Now I gotta like get the I gotta like make people talk. Let's see. What did I do for the background? Good question. I actually don't remember. Was it the playground thing? I think if I remember correct, it was, but I can't be too sure. What episode would that have been? That would have been episode 1, I think. Yeah, I think so. Let me listen one more time. I forgot I got a drink. That Kodak, remember that. Because I actually want to see his reaction to that album. Okay, I need the Binding by Lightning. Skip ad. Of Leeway Harbor. She did some investigating over the past week and found that one of our main mills guards that guards one of the main paths into Leeway Harbor. My turn. I was monitoring the city as I usually do every night before retiring from my duties, and at first, everything was fine. About them that could give a better idea to narrowing down whoever our enemy may be. Did she happen to enter the tavern? You could see that Ganyu wasn't looking for any negative business with the person in question, so he didn't give her any sort of negative retort. It was. Okay, I think did I pitch it down? I don't think so. Okay, let's go. Man, it has been a minute. Alright, now I gotta go find it. I just don't remember what it's called. That's under my downloads though, that I do now. Something to do with a playground. Like a kid's playground or elementary, something like that. Right there. Hey, that was easy. Yay, woohoo! I did it. Alright. I'm gonna have to toy with this a little bit to make it sound realistic. Okay. So let's go something like automate, volume. Something like this, maybe? Entered the city's inner borders to the sight of many men and women working on the buildings that... Okay, has to be lower than that. Way lower than that. Let's see. We need a limiter. No, limiter balancer. Bleh. Alright, let's turn that
Entered
down.
the city's inner borders to the sight of many men and women working on the buildings that had been demolished by the androids. It was a familiar view to her eyes, having been filled in on the siege by Kuching along their travel to the peaks of Serenity, and seen the civilians reconstructing their homes as she'd passed the gate during her last departure. It was a sign of hope and strength in a time of tragedy.
Okay. What I need is to toy with this. No, not that. I need the actual track. This one right here. Turn the pitch down because it sounds like kids.
Entered the city's inner borders to the sight of many men and women working on the buildings that had been demolished by the androids. It was a familiar view to her eyes, having been filled in on the siege by Kuching along their travel to the peaks of Serenity, and seen the civilians reconstructing their homes as she'd passed the gate during her last departure. It was a sign of hope and strength in a time of tragedy and grief, and that warmed Ganyu's heart. The people of Mondstadt are strong and carry an unlimited amount of hope, and that is what they needed in the midst of war. It was the only thing that could keep Tevat from the brink of extinction, and as long as the people of it were willing to show no signs of surrender, Tevat would remain alive and well. As she met
I mean, I guess that works. Let's see. I think I know a track that can go here. What's it called? Mondstadt Moonlit or something like that? Mondstadt at night. Mondstadt Starlit. I don't remember what this is. It's been so long. Let me just see what it sounds like. Gonna have to turn it down quite a bit. Think this is the right one though. I don't remember if it is or not. Okay, let's see.
entered the city's inner borders to the sight of many men and women working on the buildings that had been demolished by the androids.
Nope, that's not it. Is that it? No, I think it's Mondstadt at night. I'm pretty sure it is.
Entered the city's inner borders to the sight of many men and women working on the buildings that had been demolished by the androids. It was a familiar view to her eyes, having been filled in on the siege by Kuching.
Okay. Yep, I think this is the right one. Okay, that still needs to go down quite a bit. Turn that down some more. Balance. Lower.
Entered the city's inner borders to the sight of many men and women working on the buildings that had been demolished by the androids. It was a familiar view to her eyes, having been filled in on the siege by Kuching along their travel to the peaks of Serenity, and seen the civilians reconstructing their homes as she'd passed the gate during her last departure. It was a sign of hope and strength in a time of tragedy and grief, and that warmed Ganyu's heart. The people of Mondstadt are strong and carry an unlimited amount of hope, and that is what they needed in the midst of war. It was the only thing that could keep Tevat from the brink of extinction, and as long as the people of it were willing to show no signs of surrender, Tevat would remain alive and well. As she met the fountain between Good Hunter and the local marketplace, a local she hadn't
Hang on. It's a little too low now. Excuse me. Hello?
entered the city's inner borders to the sight of many men and women working on the buildings that had been demolished by the androids. It was a familiar view to her eyes, having been filled in on the siege by Kuching along their travel to the peaks of Serenity, and seen the civilians reconstructing their homes as she passed the gate during her last departure. It was a sign of hope and strength in a time of tragedy and grief, and that warmed Ganyu's heart. The people of Mondstadt are strong and carry an unlimited amount of hope, and that is what they needed in the midst of war. It was the only thing that could keep Tevat from the brink of extinction, and as long as the people of it were willing to show no signs of surrender, Tevat would remain alive and well. As she met the fountain between Good Hunter and the local marketplace, a local she hadn't expected to see approached her in very high spirits of her presence. Miss Ganyu? Marketplace, a local she hadn't expected to see approached her in very high spirits of her presence. Miss Ganyu? What a coincidence! The voice of Outrider Amber spoke amongst the ruined buildings. Upon turning her gaze towards the farthest wall past the fountain, she met the sight of the red-clad archer that adorned 2 practical bunny ears. She was wearing a bright smile and appeared to be setting off somewhere, her bow in her right fist evident enough to be an indication. Ganyu smiled as well, walking up to meet her fellow comrade.
Right there.
Walking up to meet her fellow comrade. It's good to see you again, Miss Amber. Where are you headed? I was actually heading out to get you, seeing something major came up as of this morning. I see. If I may, what exactly happened that caused such measures to be taken? That's probably best said elsewhere. So, please follow me to the Knights of Favonia's headquarters so we can discuss further with the others. All right, lead the way. Amber obliged, turning back in the direction of the upper district of Mondstadt City. Along the way, all Ganyu could do was ponder about what had come up that's so important to cause such actions to be taken.
Right there. I think it's right here.
Along the way, all Ganyu could do was ponder about what had come up that's so important to cause such actions to be taken. Her curiosity turning back in the direction of the upper district.
Turning back in the direction of the upper district of Mondstadt City. Along the way, all Ganyu could do was ponder about what had come up that's so important to cause such actions to be taken. Her curiosity burned for an answer, but rather than giving herself a headache, she just decided to be patient. She was at the intended destination in no more than a minute, having entered and worked her way into Jean's Having entered? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we're gonna need a couple things here. Door open, close.
Entered and worked her way into Jean's office with Amber's guidance.
Okay, so we need that. We need this to shut up. Okay, volume. Excuse me.
Entered and worked her way into Jean's office with Amber's guidance.
Okay. So what I need now is to get the sound of outside out as well. The hell is it? Hello? Oh, right there. I don't know if that's right or not.
entered and worked her way into Jean's office with Amber's guidance. Upon entering,
All right. Having entered. Okay, one step at a time here. One step at a time. Get this out. Cut all this. Nice.
entered and worked her way into Jean's office with
Tap, tap, tap. Okay. So now we need the noisy. These ones.
Amber's guidance.
Nope, wrong ones. I swear I got those ones.
With Amber's guidance. Upon entering, she
Okay. Now cut this out. Which one is it? It's this one, right?
with Amber's guidance. Upon entering, she was met with the sight of many familiar faces, but the first to catch her eye was her
Okay, upon entering. Okay, so we need another sound effect there. So upon entering, now we need a clock. Because that's what the ambience of Jean's office is. Really? Okay, that's on the USB drive. Alright. Electronic, I think is what. Yep, that's it. Okay. Cut that down quite a bit. Volume. Something like, come on, something like that maybe. All right, now we need to add some reverb. Today, just a small one, nothing big. Maybe.
With Amber's guidance.
Oh shit, that's loud.
With Amber's guidance. Upon entering.
Nope, a little too fast.
With Amber's guidance. Upon entering.
Upon entering. Okay, so like right there is about where we're at. Still though to not.
With
right.
Amber's guidance. Upon entering, she was met with the sight of many familiar faces, but the first to catch her eye was her beloved's. Likewise, Kuching had met Ganyu's own eyes, and as a gesture of love and reunion, she had run up to Ganyu and wrapped her arms. She had run up to Ganyu and wrapped.
She had run up to Ganyu. Okay, so we do need the running sound effect. This would be a short, like, run. Okay, loud sample. Really? Would that be here? Footsteps, running sound. That's the one.
She had run up to Ganyu and.
Okay, that's not too bad.
She had run up to Ganyu and wrapped her arms tightly.
Too low.
She had run up to Ganyu and wrapped her arm.
There we go. Okay, let's just go 5. I think this also needs a little bit of a reverb. that one at 10%.
She had run up to Ganyu and wrapped her arms tightly.
Wow, it's so low.
She had run up to Ganyu and wrapped her arms tightly. She had run up to Ganyu and wrapped her arms.
Okay, hang on.
Of love and reunion. She had run up to Ganyu and wrapped her arms tightly around her. With no hesitation of love and reunion, she had run up to Ganyu and wrapped her arms tightly around her.
That'll work.
With no hesitation, Ganyu had returned the sentiment, allowing Kuching's warmth to embrace her body and radiate her happiness that they were together again after so long. While they didn't want to let go of one another, they knew the matter at hand was more important. Therefore, they released their hold from one another and allowed the others to speak. That was fast. Yelan stated, standing on the left side of the room with her arms crossed.
Hang on. Let me get that out. Cut that out. Shut this up.
Of love and reunion, she had run up, Yelan stated, standing on the left side of the room with her arms crossed. Amber quickly followed with explaining why her trip had been cut much shorter than it usually would take. I just happened to meet her in the city as I was leaving. That's a blessing, seeing that saves us all a lot of time. I agree. Jean added, considering the matter at hand, it's best we not waste time and get it resolved quickly. I apologize for being so impatient, but what has happened to cause this? Ganyu jumped in, having grown too curious about the situation. Jean turned her gaze towards Diluc just off to her right side, to which Diluc answered with his own comment. Perhaps it's best if you just see for yourself, Miss Ganyu. He answered, following with him reaching into one of his inner coat pockets and pulling out a neatly folded up piece of paper. From the look of it, Ganyu assumed it to be a letter of some sort. She didn't hesitate and took it from Diluc, and upon unfolding the paper,
Okay, we need a paper-like sound effect. Alright. Not too shabby, not too shabby. We're probably going to need another sound effect too, the scrolling sound effect. Not scrolling, the scribbling. Oh, fuck. Alright, let's see. We need... that'd be under the USB drive, I think. Paper. Paper crumpling, paper ripping. This might work. This might just work on its own. Let's see. Let's see if it does.
And upon unfolding the paper,
Oh, God. That's a little... Did I ask for your opinion? Shut up.
she didn't hesitate and took it from Diluc, and upon unfolding the paper, Ganyu's eyes bulged instantly at the sight of it. At the top was...
Okay. I need to turn that down some more. Did someone literally just take a piece of paper and like put the microphone like right next to it?
She didn't hesitate and took it from Diluc, and upon unfolding the paper, Ganyu's eyes bulged instantly at the sight of it. At the top was the stamp of a snowflake as the emblem of the Zapoljarny Palace. Things she was all too familiar with due to her original occupation as the head secretary of the Qixing. The paper in her grasp was an official document that had been forged by the Tsaritsa herself. Dear government officials of Mondstadt, I forged this letter as a herself. Dear government officials of Mondstadt, I forged this letter as a proposal of a truce between Snezhnaya and all fellow capitals beyond. I have come to an understanding that my forces cannot continue to collide with your own without the result of hundreds of losses, which has led me to the conclusion of cordially inviting those who are involved to Zapolyarny Palace to participate in the signing of a treaty to cease any further conflict between both parties. Your compensation for your losses in this war will be discussed in the action of our discussion of making peace. I will await your response before proceeding with any further actions on my part. Yours truly, Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa. Ganyu wanted to rip the letter into millions of pieces.
Stop for a second.
Herself. Dear government officials of Mondstadt, I forged this letter as a proposal of a truce between Snezhnaya and all fellow capitals beyond. I have come to an understanding that my forces cannot continue to collide with your own without the result of hundreds of losses, which has led me to the conclusion of cordially inviting those who are involved to Zapolyarny Palace to participate in the signing of a treaty to cease any further conflict between both parties. Your compensation for your losses in this war will be discussed in the action of our discussion of making peace. I will await your response before proceeding with any further actions on my part. Yours truly, Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa. Ganyu wanted to rip the letter into millions of pieces, her blood boiling at the idea of just making peace with a witch that had taken everything from her in one night. She struggled to hold herself from destroying the document, stating her answer with her raw emotions clear as day. Is she serious? After destroying mine, ripped the letter into millions of pieces. Her blood boiling at the idea of just making this war will be discussed in the action of our discussion of making peace. I will await your response before proceeding with any further actions on my part. Yours truly, Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa. Gone.
Okay. This is a tricky one because I don't know how to explain it. It basically, like, the Tsaritsa we know isn't the true enemy here, but it is unsettling. What fits here? What fits here? I guess I could just go easy. Let's go something like this.
Ganyu wanted to rip the letter into millions of pieces, her blood boiling at the idea of just making peace with a witch that had taken everything from her in one night. She struggled to hold herself from destroying the document, stating her answer with her raw emotions clear as day. Is she serious? After destroying mine, Yelan, and Kuching's home and lives, she thinks we'll just simply sign a paper and hold her hand in forgiveness? She can take this proposal and shove it. I refuse to just pretend that Liyue Harbor's destruction can just be easily forgotten with the signing of a treaty. Good. Then we are all on the same page. Diluc added with a nod of his head. None of us are in agreement after all she's done, Miss Ganyu. A sudden warmth gripped Ganyu's left arm, causing her to jump in surprise. Upon eyeing the hand gripping her, she saw it was Kuching's, coming back to reality and calming down. She lowered her arms and took deep breaths, addressing her behavior after a good amount of time. I'm sorry, everyone. Don't be sorry, hun. Yelan answered, surprise. Upon eyeing the hand gripping her, she saw it was Kuching's, coming back to reality and calming down. She lowered her arms and took deep breaths, addressing her behavior after a good amount of time. I'm sorry, everyone. Coming back to reality and calming down. She lowered her arms and took deep breaths, addressing her behavior after a good amount of time. I'm sorry, everyone. Don't be sorry, hun. Yelan answered. We all reacted exactly the same, and all of our anger is warranted, seeing that bitch has caused too much damage to just be forgiven with the signing of a paper. Ganyu nodded, still recovering from the emotions to just be forgiven with the signing of a paper. Ganyu nodded, still recovering from the emotions currently flooding her mind like a tsunami. Only after she'd managed to calm down did she realize why she had come there in the first place. Only after she'd managed to calm down did she realize why she had come there in the first place. She gasped, quickly addressing the true enemy they should be scolding. No, you're wrong, Miss Yelan. Ganyu answered, causing the entire room to jump in complete shock. However, upon her next words, it became clear to all why she had answered the way she had. The Tsaritsa is not our enemy, but the harbinger known as the Doctor. She then followed by explaining everything, every occupant becoming awestruck the further she explained. When she finished, not everyone had the same conclusion. To some, they speculated it as nothing more than a figment of her imagination, while others didn't deny her new abilities as a Qilin to decipher a dream from a reality. Even with enhanced abilities, what you saw could have easily just been a trick of the mind. Yelan stated, I do believe what you're saying, but we have to be certain if what you saw was reality or a creation of your psyche before we go storming into a battle we may not be able to win. I have to agree as well, seeing there is a chance it could have been fiction. Diluc added, like Miss Yelan, I do not think you are lying, Miss Ganyu. It's just best that we play our cards wisely rather than recklessly. Ganyu couldn't disagree, seeing their speculation was understandable. While she was pretty certain that what had happened was something real, there was a chance that she could also be wrong. I understand. Is there any way to find out the real truth? Ganyu questioned, turning her gaze to Mona specifically. If anybody in the room knew anything about dreams or visions, it would be her, seeing she experienced something very similar. Mona caught Ganyu's gaze and quickly acted on it. Hey, while I had that one experience, I have no sort of experience with dream delving. Reading someone's fate or destiny is much more different than delving into their psyche. That is much more complex and dangerous. And I'm afraid a reading wouldn't do any good to determine reality from fiction either. Ganyu nodded in understanding, returning to her thoughts and hopes for an answer to their current predicament. However, no such answer came, up until Yelan suddenly spoke up from out of nowhere. I just thought of something, and I believe I may have a solution. Ganyu was sold, curious on what her comrade had in mind. What do you have in mind, Miss Yelan? In my travels to the other nations, I met the Dendro Archon Lesser Lord Kusanali, and in the little time we spoke, I learned that she has abilities related to dreams. Perhaps she could assist in figuring out the truth. Ganyu believed her, knowing she had no reason to lie, and given it was an Archon, there was a heavy chance that she was right. Then I suppose it's time to make another trip to Sumeru to get this figured out? You took the words right out of my mouth. Considering we've made an alliance with Sumeru, this shouldn't be too much of a hassle. Then it's probably best that you get moving. Diluc added, if this actually turns out to be true, then we need to come up with a plan and unleash hell on the doctor as soon as possible. Agreed. Well, girls, ready to head back to the jungle for a second time? Kuching and Ganyu both nodded with a smile, Yelan walking over to their side of the room in preparation to depart. Please. Kuching and Ganyu both nodded with a smile, Yelan walking over to their side of the
Walking over, okay, so that implies walking.
Walking over to their side of the room in preparation to depart. Please, stay safe in your journey, and good luck to all of you, Jean said as a goodbye. Don't worry, we will, Yelan answered. Then, with a turn of the doorknob, the three ladies started out of the Knights of Favonius headquarters. Okay, started it implies walking. Let's see. Started out of the Knights of Favonius headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City. Where are you? Oh my god, where did you go? What am I looking for? Oh. Is it this? I think so. Knights of Favonius headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City. Knights of Favonius headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City. Knights of Favonius headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City. Okay. Hang on. Let me see if I can get this a little better. Knights of Favonius headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City. Knights of Favonius headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City. Perfect. I need the door opening sound. So, because it says with the turn of the knob. So, grab this. Cut this with the turn of the knob. Said as a goodbye. Don't worry, we will, Yelan answered. Then, said as a goodbye. Don't worry, we will, Yelan answered. Then, with a turn of the doorknob, the three ladies started out of the said as a goodbye. Don't worry, we will, Yelan answered. Then, with a turn of the doorknob, the three ladies started out of the Knights of Favonius headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City. Perfect. Okay, let's see what we got here. Said as a goodbye. Excuse me. Don't worry, we will, Yelan answered. Then, with a turn of the doorknob, the three ladies started out of the Knights of Favonius headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City. To be continued. Okay. Let me push it out just a little bit more than that. Said as a goodbye. Don't worry, we will, Yelan answered. Then, with a turn of the doorknob, The three ladies started out of the Knights of Favonia's headquarters in pursuit for the sanctuary of Surasthana in Sumeru City.
That'll work. Alright, we are done with the audio. Yay. Now, it's just a matter of compiling all of it into one big file. And then adding the visuals. Chapter 28 full mix. Wait. Abort. I see something. Oh, that was almost a big flop. Okay, Control A. Maybe. Control A. There we go. Okay, export MP3. Try that again. Chapter 28 full mix right. Knew something was off once I saw the 1000. Who followed me? Just wait for this to export. Then we'll go upload it to the drive and we will be done for the day. The last step I don't really want, I'm not really going to stream for that because it's pretty quick. It's not like editing these things where you basically have to go through and edit everything. For the next step, all I need to do is just import it into OpenShot. Well, first, no, I need to import it into Audacity, combine all the files into one big file, then render that file, import that file into Audacity, or no. Not into Audacity, fuck me. And once that's rendered, put it into OpenShot, add the visual on top, and render the sucker. So I'll probably do that tomorrow. Then I will... when will I want to do the upload? I'll probably do the upload... probably tomorrow. It's probably going to be tomorrow. Do the upload tomorrow, schedule it for a week after, and then we'll be good, guys. So, yeah, it won't come out until... I don't have a calendar, don't I? So, it won't come out until probably the second week of April. But, that's okay. That is okay. At least something is going to get out. And, yeah. Despite what people say about this shit, I don't give a shit. Like those trolls that were in chat today. I don't care how many views they get. Unless they have a channel that has over 9K subscribers and 400 up to 400 views on their videos, they should just shut the fuck up, in my opinion. Like that first one. Maybe I gotta scroll up if it'll let me. Why am I wasting my time on living this type of board? My God, learn how to fucking type. There are no views, so you should. There are no views. Boy, apparently he did not look at my channel and the amount of freaking views I have. But that's why I don't let people like that bother me, because they're just jealous. I bet that was his friend that came into chat too, that after he got butthurt on me calling him a fucking idiot and basically told him to go fuck himself because he didn't hurt me. And the reason I'm talking about it is not because it bothered me. It's because I'm gonna let these motherfuckers know they don't hurt me. I've had feces rubbed in my face. I've been called every name in the book. I've been sexually harassed in school. That's the shit that hurts. I've been through all of it. I have a freaking disability that limits me on what I can do. You can't hurt me. So, unless they've got anything better to do, they might as well just fucking move on to the next person they want to troll, because I don't want to even deal with it. Because this is my passion. It earns me money. And, well, if they don't like it, I don't care. Go cry to your mom about it. Because you're probably still living with your mom. And you're in the basement right now eating some potato chips with your fucking stomach hanging out the bottom of your shirt and watching me because your life is no better, because your life sucks. Well, I'm sorry. Get on the treadmill. I have time for idiots in my life. Besides, this is what makes me happy, and if I'm gonna do what I fucking want to do that makes me happy. And if I'm being completely honest, I really do not want to do pony shit much anymore, because one, like, I'm still gonna finish everything that I've started, but I just don't have the drive for pony much anymore, because, man, if you've been paying attention to the fandom lately, it's a fucking mess. I don't see that he sent a thingamajig. I don't see a friend request. All right. Let's go. Finish this up. Should have plenty of space. But no telling. Actually, what I should do first is upload that file into, whatchamacallit? Audacity. Why I couldn't think of that name, yeah. So let's import that real quick and just take a look. It shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. That one. Did I upload chapter 27? I don't know if I did or not. I don't think so. Recent. Hello? Can I please go to my recents? Thank you. Chapter 26. 25, 26. No, I have not uploaded chapter 27. Not yet, anyway. So let's go ahead and do that. That's the one. Alright, let's see where this puts us. I have a feeling we're just barely going to make it on space. Just barely. Oh, God. Chapter 26 was definitely the longest chapter. Alright, let's see. Where did that put us? Whew. We're riding the line, but I think we're going to be fine because this isn't a very long chapter. And from the looks of things, it looks fine. What's this?
Welcome back, Miss Ganyu.
Just double checking everything. Never a bad thing to do. Always a good thing to do, actually. Abnormal peaking. Okay, we're at the clock as I can see it in the timeline. All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. All right, close Audacity. Ow. All right. File upload. PBOIL chapter 28 full. Riding that line very, very closely. But hey, another part done. Uploaded. Nice. Alright. The hard parts are done. Now we're to the easy stuff, finally. But hey, that's the fun of it, isn't it? No, it's not fun. But anyways, I'm going to call it there. We got 2 chapters done today. We're done with the audio. Now it's just a matter of getting her up and getting the visuals done, upload the video, and call it good. So anyways, I'm off for now. Thank you guys for joining me. Minus the trolls. But thank you for joining me. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed. You know, me just working. But anyways, look forward to this coming out probably in the 2nd week of April, because I'm going to have to let it sit for over a week to let it get publicity and stuff like that. Otherwise, the views are going to be pretty bad. But anyways, thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!